Alright, so it looks like North Korea actually fired off another missile today. This one over here actually is going further than any of the other ones they have fired off recently, or at all. Yeah, factual. The ICBM flew nearly 2,800 miles into space, according to Yonhap, which is South Korea's news agency. Basically, the International Space Station only orbits the Earth from about 250 miles in space, so it gives you kind of a idea how far into space this thing flew up. Pretty much at this point now, it looks like North Korea has tested 3 ICBMs before this. This one actually flew 1,000 miles higher than the first regime's launch on July 4th. So this missile also landed, it looks like, in the Sea of Japan. Looks like about 620 miles before landing in the Sea of Japan. They're saying this missile now could actually reach anywhere in the world, is what one of the reports I saw come up. But it looks like on a map, it looks like it could definitely go past the east coast of the United States. I'm not sure if it would actually, well, if it goes in the, to actually fly it going westward, it could probably reach Europe no problem too. So looks like they can reach anywhere in the world. That is a factual, if that's what they're getting out of this, the factual statement. So it looks like they could hit us if they want to. They could hit Washington, they could hit New York, they could hit Chicago, they could hit Texas, they could hit Florida. They could hit Mobile, Alabama if they wanted to.
An Australian newspaper actually printed a newspaper. An Australian website. I think there's actually a newspaper as well, but this is off the web. I don't have the site. It was quoted to me, and I saw a screenshot of it, but that has a list of likely targets in the U.S., so maybe check that out. See if you're on it. A lot of these are like outlying places. I think we talked about Okinawa, and we talked about possibly mainland Japan, possibly Manhattan was mentioned by name. And they did, I believe, list off some military type targets in the continental United States. So,
But see, the thing is, if they're gonna fire, if he does fire off missiles, I don't think it's just gonna be 1 or 2. He's gonna fire off a volley of missiles, I would believe.
I don't think he has a volley of missiles.
They say you can have up to 50 of them. So 50 is a volley of missiles, because I'll tell you right now, if 50 missiles come flying towards the United, well, all 50 want to come flying here, but say even 20 flew this way. Something I actually heard a couple weeks ago, it was actually on Dave Hodges, that I think Abu 7 did something on it too. Our missile defense system will only shoot down a missile 50% of the time. So if you get 20 missiles flying towards the United States, there's a 50%, you have a 50% chance of shooting down all 20. So pretty much you would get 10. 10 more missiles are going to be going to their destination. And remember, with these nuclear warheads, once they go into that terminal phase and they actually break off from the warhead, when they actually break off and they start being delivered down towards the ground, they may not hit Manhattan, they could hit Long Island, it could be off a little bit. You know, they could end up hitting Connecticut, they could end up hitting Rhode Island and Massachusetts, they could end up hitting Baltimore, you know.
Do you see how calm I am?
Yes.
Alright. That's because I am 99% sure nothing is going to happen. And I'll give you a few reasons why. One, North Korea would not exist if it were not for China. And with all of the assets that China has in the United States, it would make little to no sense for them to allow North Korea to attack us. And I don't think that it would happen without permission from Beijing.
too.
Kim, I don't think he's insane. I do not believe that he's insane. And the reason why is, yes, he is the top. As far as that country goes, he is the absolute ruler. There is no one there that can, by the law, challenge his power, as far as I know. I don't know what kind of, if they have a constitution, or, you know, if people are even allowed to learn to read over there personally. I have no idea. But he does have family that could conceivably orchestrate some kind of a coup if he was actually out of his mind, and if he was actually going to bring about the destruction of North Korea. Somebody in his own camp would have taken him out by now if he were that crazy. So I don't think that really is. I don't think that we're dealing with just some madman with his finger on the button, Dr. Evil type cartoon villain. He's a young leader, but he is a world leader, and he was trained by other world leaders, and you know, and I don't think that he would allow. He knows what would happen. Okay, so regardless of how he may treat his people, he understands that that they couldn't win a war. They may be able to hold out, but at the end of the day, it would come to North Korea destroyed off the map.
Yeah,
that's how that would end.
All right,
one way or another. So a sane person would not make that move. I don't think he's a crazy person, and I don't think China's going to give the order.
All right, with that being said, let me run this scenario by you. We were talking before. You know as well as I do. There's quite a few different theaters that there is possible war going on in.
Mm-hmm.
We have Middle East. Things are getting kind of heated up over there, especially with Israel in the recent days, saying if they see any Iranian military equipment, Iranian military, any type of movement within 40 kilometers of the Iranian border with Syria, Syria would attack and would wipe out whatever's there as far as Iranian military assets.
This is Syria?
In Syria. They would do, no, Israel would go in and destroy whatever assets the Iranian military have 40 kilometers from the Syrian-Israeli border. Because right now there is a village.
Okay.
There is
if
a village.
They see Iranian equipment
Yes.
in Syria that close to the Syrian border with
Yes.
Israel. I understand.
All right. So what's happening is that right now there is a village that's close to the border. I think it's within that 40-kilometer range, where you actually have the IRC going into that village and trying to recruit Syrians to fight the cause and join the IRC or team up with the IRC against Israel. We also said before, I think we said in a previous broadcast, Russia went from, receiving about $33 billion in, purchase and money from purchase of Russian military equipment from the Middle East. It just shot up to like 330 million plus, or 330 billion. It was like 330 million, I believe it was, wasn't it? Or billion?
I don't know. Billion.
I think it was billion. 330 billion between all these Arab countries that are getting ready for war. Russians are selling equipment like crazy. So they're making money on that end. Russia's backing Iran.
And you know that Russia is not shorting themselves on military equipment either.
No, they're not. They're selling what they can. They're making money on it. I think it was a Dubai air show a few weeks ago. They had a plane that they were flying there. We had a plane. What's happening is actually Russia's selling, I want to say 7 to 8 of these planes to Dubai, or Arab Emirates. For the Arab Emirates, they're selling 7 or 8 of the Arab Emirates, and then they're selling 1 or 2 of these right now to China. And these planes are supposed to be like top of their class, best fighters you can get right now. So they're out there making moves. On that top of that, they're also stocking up their own military. Obviously, the money they're making, these billions they're making, they're putting it and turning it right back into their military machine.
Well, now didn't they recently move some equipment in
From reports, there are some
Black Sea
reports
area?
that they're
Okay.
moving troops and assets, military assets, back into the Ukraine. So you got that too. You got NATO, amassing on the borders, on the Eastern European borders. They're getting ready for anything to pop off. So right now, things can pop up in 3 different areas right now. You have the Asia Pacific, you have the Middle East, and you have Eastern Europe border with Russia. So now you have 3 areas where something could pop off. As soon as something pops off one place, what's to say? Because if anything pops off in Eastern Europe against Russia, NATO, we're a big contributor to NATO. We are NATO, pretty much. Let's be honest. As far as militarily, we are NATO. So we're going to get dragged into that war. Middle East war. If it's going to be Iran going against Israel, well, it's not just Iran. It's Iran, United States, Saudi Arabia. We're actually building a pretty decent-sized base, I heard, in Israel right now. We're going to be putting an actual base in Israel. So we're going to be putting in an Air Force. I believe it's an Air Force base we're putting in Israel. We're going to have bombers and everything up there.
Okay, I think some of those countries get reversed in there.
We're going to be backing Israel. We'll be backing Saudi Arabia. We'll be backing Israel as well. Whereas Iran's going to be backed by Russia, by Syria,
right.
All right, and then whatever other Arab countries are going to want to get in on it, they're going to pick their sides. Russia is cozying up to Egypt right now. And even so, even Russia. Now, Russia also on a separate part of it, but not so much separate, but Russia actually helped bail out Venezuela their problems, giving them a loan over the next 10 years that they're going to get paid back money on. So they're not going to let the United States go in there and do anything.
I was actually gonna bring up Venezuela because that's true, and they are also very close to out and out civil war.
Out in Venezuela, yeah.
So,
another great form of another way to show that socialism does not work. So, well, I mean that's but
depending on what happens, that may cool off because if they're now going to be if somebody just turned the pipes back on as far as cash coming in and oil going out, then there's going to be more in those kind of state funded coffers.
Mm-hmm. That'll be filling back up.
So if that's part of the deal is to Maduro is get your house in order. We're gonna do business with you. And I'm saying this is from Russia.
Yeah.
We're gonna do business with you, but you get your house in order, so we don't have to come in as an armed occupying force to straighten it out for you. Which, honestly, if Vladimir Putin is a smarter person as I think he is, that would be the best way to go about it. Because otherwise, we've got now Russian soldiers basically turning into a peacekeeping force that's way too close. That's that's
like
the
Cuba
U.S.
Missile
doesn't
Crisis
like
there,
that
yeah.
stuff on you gotta stay in your hemisphere there.
Yeah. It's like the whole Cuban Missile Crisis. They came into Cuba. They're trying to put missiles right on our front doorstep. They could easily try and do the same thing again. You can park a couple of subs off of Venezuela now if they want. Obviously, they're going to have rights. They're going to be able to get perks from Venezuela because they bailed them out. I mean, and the thing you said about Putin being a smart man, the man's obviously smart. He's a pretty smart guy. When he knows to stick it right into Venezuela to be able to go right up our rear end. You're going to go in there and he's going to go help out the Middle East as far as arming them, and then taking the side of Iran and Syria. Knowing this is going to be if that war breaks out, that's your Middle East war right there.
Mm-hmm.
So what's going to happen is that between all 3 of these theaters right now, and including Venezuela maybe being potentially a base for them in the future, with bailing them out, what they're going to get for perks from that for Venezuela, which we know they're going to get them. What's going to happen is that something's going to get fired off from somewhere. Maybe Russia, and North Korea, and China are going to have this alliance with Iran, which it looks like that's kind of the alliance. It looks like they could be going on out there. is Russia, China, North Korea, Iran. 3 nuclear powers, one power that is about to achieve nuclear weapons, if not already have achieved them. All right. So you're going to have those 4 coming after us, and what is it? Us and UK, Canada.
Yeah, pretty much. Canada, I would not.
Yeah, we don't even know what's going to happen with them. You know. So I mean, who will we have? We'll have South Korea. You know, we'll have Japan. We'll have Australia.
Japan doesn't have a standing army.
They don't have a standing army. They just have a defense force. We are the defense force pretty much.
True.
They have a Coast Guard. I mean, they have. It's going to be a lot of big players against us. And from any one of those players, where out of those 4 countries would you think would be the one to fire that first missile off?
Ooh, are we betting?
I'm going to say a friendly bet. We'll say I'm not going to put money on it, but you know, I'll put $10 on it.
Okay.
$10. My money's on North Korea because they right now are the loose cannon of the 4 of them. Russia and China are trying to come in there, trying to do things their way, the back channel it, whatever way they're doing it. Iran's making threats. Iran also did threaten to send missiles into Europe because you have, it's not just the United States and Trump that's questioning the whole nuclear deal with Iran. You also have the President of France, Macron. He's also in with Trump saying Iran's not keeping to the spirit of the deal.
Really?
Yes. It's Trump and Macron. They want to see something go on with that. Look into what's going on with them because they feel that they are breaking the spirit of the deal. So with that, if any other, they're going to figure if other European countries are going to follow suit in that, and they're going to become enemies of Iran, they're threatening to fire missiles off into Europe. So your 2 loose cannons. North Korea, I think, is a major loose cannon out of the 4, with Iran being the close second. Because Iran is stirring up trouble in the Middle East. North Korea is stirring up trouble in the Asia Pacific and with us. Russia and China are trying to be like the ones trying to, do things in the back end, and they're giving them what they need to make, fight the wars they need. I'll tell you right now, where did North Korea get the technology to fire a missile off that high when they were projected, unless we're being lied to by our government, or they're getting help, or a little bit of both, or a lot of both. Russia and North Korea have a border. There's ways that they can be able to get things across and get things to North Korea. This could be a setup for something on a bigger world stage.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going with a wild card. Give me $10 on Denmark.